So it's not for kids.
Well, my window's rectangle all of a sudden. I am rectangular. What a bop.
I don't know it.
It's about how he doesn't fit in society. Like, everyone else is a square, but he's a rectangle.
It's kind of like me. You ever feel like you're like a Rick among Mortys?
All the time, brother.
It's hard, isn't it? Living this kind of a life.
Me, an intellectual, walks into classroom. They're doing the Pledge of Allegiance. Actually, pause.
Yes.
Can we take a moment to recognize that the edgy kid in your classroom that wouldn't do the Pledge of Allegiance was actually the one that was right instead of being cringe? Like, can we all look back on that now and be like, actually, you know what? Based. Like,
you're exonerated, Kyle.
Yeah, no, but like seriously, like,
yeah. You know what's actually crazy is that I feel like if you grew up in the era we did, right? Late 90s, even maybe the early 90s, mid 2000s, or whatever. And you saw a kid sitting down during Pledge of Allegiance. You'd probably be like, what a loser. Because you're like 12. You don't know any better. But if you go back
that kid.
If you go back in time, though, it's insane. The amount of abuse that was hurled at the kids that like first refused to do the pledge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the court case about the kids, you know where it came from?
No.
The story behind it? So it came out of Jehovah's Witnesses, actually.
Oh.
Part of their ideology, and, you know, if you're a current or former J-Dub, hit me up to let me know if I got this right. But basically, it's like all governments around the world are instruments of Satan, essentially. So to say the Pledge of Allegiance or stand for the national anthem is essentially Satan worship, according to their beliefs, basically. Don't give in to Satan, don't do the Pledge of Allegiance. And then the Supreme Court ultimately ended up being like a huge court case. The Supreme Court was like, yeah, it's kind of like your constitutional right to not have to be compelled to be a patriot, you know? It was crazy what they went through. I mean, it's wild that it's Jehovah's Witnesses of all things, but like,
yeah, I love the like, we need one of those like buff arm memes, you know, with the two strong arms doing the handshake. Modern leftists and Jehovah's Witness, and they're like both agreeing on like the government.
The Pledge of Allegiance is fucked up. Like, yeah. This is a great cold open to follow on the heels of the 4th of July. Fuck the Pledge of Allegiance.
Happy 4th of July, everyone.
Yeah.
Hope you all enjoyed it. Made the best of it despite the fireworks.
Okay.
By the way, we did the fireworks this year.
Okay.
Despite Mary and I really not being a fan. We're not like anti-firework, but we're kind of eye-rolly, you know, it's contrarians.
It costs a lot of fucking money for like 10 minutes of entertainment. I mean,
like money aside, it's just like, it's not that entertaining to us. Like, you know, we're like, seen that. It's kind of like how I play games, you know, played that.
Yeah. And to be fair, like, you know, when you have an IQ as high as ours, it takes a lot more.
Yeah. Flashing lights, that's not going to do it for us. We need that Sudoku puzzle.
Yeah, exactly.
Give us some math in the sky or something.
I need to like play chess while listening to Tool and noticing the change in key signatures mid.
So anyway, our daughter was really amped about it. So we're like, okay, we'll take you, you know. And she's like, oh yeah, fireworks. And then the fireworks set off and she's just like, this is it. She's like, I'm like, welcome to the club.
It was an IQ test for your daughter. She was like,
she thought there was going to be more, you know. She thought they were going to do a Fortnite dance or something, you know.
Yeah.
It's just a ball of light that goes up that's like way too loud. And I'm like, yep.
She was like, the firework didn't form the shape of a chicken jockey. What's the point? They see, bam, worked in the Minecraft movie reference. You know, we're killing it today. We're rolling.
Yeah. Welcome to Shelf Stable, a podcast celebrating the 4th of July. I'm your host, Kenny Katayama.
And I'm your other host, Tom Bowers. Today, the feature topic is decks of cards. What the heck are you supposed to do with those? But before we talk about that, let's just talk about some of the stuff we've been playing recently. Kenny, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, Tom, I've got to play Yellow. Yeah, Tom, I got to play Yellow and Yangtze from 2018. Designer Reiner Knizia, published by Grail Games. Yellow and Yangtze is a variant of Tigris and Euphrates. It came out years later, almost like 20 years later, with the most notable change being that it's on a hex board versus a traditional grid-based board. This makes it easier to make connections because tiles have 6 sides instead of 4. It also makes it easier to uproot things or create conflicts. Basically, it's a larger flowing game, I would say. There's other noticeable differences. For one thing, every time you place the different pieces, they have different powers than they did in Tigris and Euphrates. Some of the more interesting ones is every time you play a blue tile for the water, you can place any number of them. So you can kind of blitz and put a bunch of them at once. I think this is a considerably good change because blue is the only color that feels a little awkward in Tigris and Euphrates, where sometimes you're like, I have a bunch of blue tiles. I think my best bet, since I already have blue points, is to just discard them all. And that doesn't feel very good. Outside of that, the other changes is like when you place a green tile, you have a market of tiles that you can take from. So you get to like hand pick your next tile that you get. And that can be really nice too, to reduce some of the randomness. And then there's a really, really convoluted system for handling the wars that happen, the conflicts. It's like there's an extra step and the tiebreaker is dependent on if it's a revolt or if it's a war. That I'm not a huge fan of. I think Tigris and Euphrates, despite being a little bit of a fiddly game itself, is a little bit more concise on that aspect. For the most part, Yellow and Yangtze is a more concise game.
Interesting. You played this in real life, or was it?
I played the app. Yeah, good call out. So I played this on the Steam version, and so I didn't get a chance to really experience the tactile aspects of the game and having it on a board. But I will say the app is pretty good. First of all, it's got some really nice quality of life aspects, but also it makes it really clear how people are doing and what they're doing. So one of the biggest concerns I have when I play an app-based game is, do I even know what the heck the opponents are doing? And some games are better than others. I would say Yellow and Yangtze is one of the better ones.
I've only played this on the app as well, and I've so far enjoyed what it had to offer. I don't know where to place this game personally between this and T&E.
I definitely prefer T&E. It's not because I don't think Yellow and Yangtze is well designed. Kind of like with Race and Roll, I have a preference for Race, but I would gladly play both. I think I'm in the same spot here. It's interesting how differently they play despite being almost the same game. Yellow and Yangtze seems less punishing and less confusing to wrap your head around, but also it doesn't feel as satisfying for some reason to me. And it might just be like a particular preference with having played T&E first. I'm not even sure that it's necessarily because it's a better game, but for some reason, like Yellow and Yangtze feels more like a chill game where you're kind of just doing whatever. Whereas like in T&E, I'm like studying the board and I'm like, oh, what's my next move going to be? So.
Do you think that has more to do just with lack of experience than anything?
Probably, yeah. I mean, it could very much just be that I haven't played it enough. It could also be that it's on the app.
Right.
So the jury's still out. I guess what I can say is that I really enjoyed it. It's not a T&E killer. I really enjoyed it. I'm curious to keep exploring it. Yeah,
I'd love to play this one over the board.
We got to find a copy somewhere.
Somewhere, somehow, it's going to be all right, not right now.
Thanks for that, Tom. That was Yellow and Yangtze from 2018.
Cool game, bro. Well, I've recently been playing Monopoly Deal, and that's in all caps, by the way. DEAL, Deal. This game's from 2014. We apparently don't know the designer, or at least they aren't credited on.
It's probably Cole Worley.
I'd hope so. So he was lying when he said he'd never played it.
Yeah.
And it's published by Hasbro, of course, under the Monopoly license. You know what? We should start a quest to discover the Monopoly Deal designer and have them on this show. Because I want to know how they were able to transform a pile of shit game that is like an A tier game among pile of shit games, Monopoly, into an actual S tier game among all games, Monopoly Deal.
Every time you bring up Monopoly Deal, I get less and less enthused about it.
Oh, no!
You're starting to lose me, Tom. Because I was on board with you, and it's like, people give this crap or are not a fan, but it's actually good. But every time you bring it up, it's like you're talking about it more and more like erotically, or like just more and more affectionately. And I'm like, I'm starting to feel like you know, when like somebody says a really good thing, like a really good idea in class, and then afterwards they follow it up with just like something that's like way too radical.
I'm not sure if I'm following. It's like a cult almost. Like you get started because you're like, okay, you guys have some good ideas. And then they're just like, yes. And all of this is based on blood sacrifice. And you're like, well, I already bought into the communism part.
I feel like I picked up a hitchhiker and they were like, yeah, and Monopoly fucking sucks. And I was like, yeah. And then the hitchhiker was like, you know what's good? Monopoly Deal, though. And I was like, hell yeah. And then we do like a fist bump. And then you're like, I think it's better than other games. And I'm like, okay. You know?
Okay, I mean, look, I'll reel it back a little bit. I don't know if we've talked about this game as part on this segment. I think we did once before, and it was probably me. Maybe it was you. The thing is, like, I've been on like a winning streak with this game. I've been showing it to people, and like, it's not like I just trounce them every time, but like, there's clearly something I'm doing right. So I need to be defeated before I can start to hate this game, because I'm like, it's clearly skill driven if I'm winning every time, right? I'm joking mostly, but like the thing about this game,
no, I think that's fair.
Someone brought up recently in our Discord that they will quit gaming if Brass Deal gets invented, and I've been thinking about creating Brass Deal like ever since. And the thing that is interesting about that thought exercise is like, it's amazing how simple Monopoly Deal is and how much play it has, and how much it captures the original game's like aesthetic. You know, not that there was like that much going on in Monopoly, but like the idea of like seizing all the properties and like forcing people to make deals with you and like taking their money and stuff, like it's all there. You know what I mean? And I was trying to like,
it does do a really good job of that.
Yeah. So I was trying to think about how could I translate Brass into, you know, a single deck card game like this. It really illustrated for me like just how much I think thought may have actually gone into Monopoly Deal that it's sort of underrealized. Which is why we need to find this designer and get them on the show, because I'd love to know more, and I'd love for them to come on the show and be like, "Yeah, I just came up with it on a weekend. I don't give a fuck." I want to be put in my place in that sense, but like
the twist, it's like a member of Prospero Hall.
Oh my god!
the wires get further and further deep into this like conspiracy theory.
It's just a twisting, turning tunnel.
Can I just say, Tom, you going on a manic journey trying to design a Monopoly Deal version of Brass is like the most Tom thing ever.
It's very like on brand, all the key terms,
yeah.
I think we could get there. I'll have to let you know. You know, it's pending, patent pending.
TM.
TM.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to playing it.
I'm not sure what else to say about like Monopoly Deal itself. When was the last time you actually played it? Because I know we've been joking about it for a while.
It was the infamous, like, we all played it together. Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta play it more. I'm telling you. I feel like you'll be like, you know what? Damn. Like.
No, you don't have to convince me. I enjoy the game.
But you're saying like, you know, I'm getting like more and more excited about it. And you're not. Yeah, and like, I'm saying like, that's probably because you're not playing it. You're only hearing about it, you know?
Well, you're just like, I gotta tell you, I was in between sessions of pleasuring myself when I got in a game of Monopoly Deal, and it just really enhanced the experience. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, Tom? Like,
no, the pleasuring myself sessions were the plain Monopoly Deal.
Oh, then, I see. Yeah, okay, I misunderstood you when you were saying that.
Like, the only reason I like Brass is because I always play Monopoly Deal before and after Brass, and it's like sandwiched the bad experience of Brass.
Can we talk about something that isn't your kink? That was Monopoly Deal from 2014. Speaking of kinks, we got to play Bohnanza from 1997. This is Uwe Rosenberg's best game, published by Amigo. Bohnanza is a game where you trade beans. The catch is you don't want to trade all of them, but you also don't want to keep all of them. So you got all kinds of different beans, but you can only have 2 beans at a time that you're working on. 2 bean fields. So you're going to be like, hey, I'm going to give you this bean just out of the generosity of my heart. And then the person's going to look at you and be like,
sure, buddy.
You just don't want to plant that, huh? And then you're like, yeah. Well, and then they say, I will not accept your donation. And then you're like, what are you talking about? And they're like, I want to see you suffer. And then you have to harvest your bean field before you were going to get to that 4th coin and cry a little tear that gets on the cards. Big apology to Brandon, whose games this was. We got a lot of water on the cards because of how rowdy we were getting. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, don't bring this game to an IHOP if you care about the integrity of the cardboard.
Hopefully the cards have dried out nice. I don't know. Some of it was just being at an IHOP, but some of it was we were getting a little crazy in there.
I mean, that's the thing about Bohnanza. It brings out behaviors.
Yeah, it's the wheeling and the dealing.
Yeah, it's all about the beans.
I think that's part of our group too, though, because I've definitely talked to people who have played Bohnanza, and they're like, "What a quaint and peaceful and relaxing game." And I'm like, "Are we playing the same game?" Yeah, like maybe they just sit around and they're like, "Would anybody like this bean?" And then someone's like, "I will trade you this bean for this bean." You know, it's like an episode of Peppa Pig or something. And then they like go on their way and it's like, we're like the stock market over here. We're like, yo, you can't be giving it. Can't you tell that this person's doing so good? You got to give it to me. Okay. And I'm not going to give you anything for it, but I'm just going to accept it gladly. And if you want, I'll call you daddy, but I'm not going to give you anything for it. And you better give it over. Otherwise I'm going to break your legs. Like that's like the vibe that we have going at our table.
It's like the scene in Wolf of Wall Street. Just like, you show me 3 soybeans right now, I quit my job. I work for you. Like that's the stuff we're doing. Like,
yeah, it's pretty much. Yeah. What were notable trades? I think there was a pretty good one that was like, I will absolve you of all your past crimes if you just give me this for free. And it was like, fine. There was a moment when I tried to negotiate that I should be given stuff for having taught the game. That's a new one.
And it didn't work, notably.
It didn't work, unfortunately, but it was worth it. Taylor busted one that was interesting that was like, no, was it you? Somebody did something where it was like, I will give you a bean if you just don't trade with someone. And that was really interesting.
That sounds like
I thought that was kind of, that was a wild deal. I'm going to use that one moving forward. I like it.
That one is, I think, under leveraged for sure. Stock in trade blocking is going up right now in Bohnanza, in the Bohnanza meta.
I think that most players are so loss averse that they won't make a move like that, even though it's a really good move.
Yeah.
And beans are pretty valuable in Bohnanza. But like, if you're playing like Chinatown or something like we talked about last week, giving somebody a coin to say like, don't trade with this person, that's like a great deal. Because oftentimes that 1 point is like way less than whatever that person would get if you think they're in the lead. Yeah, making trades not happen is like a really, really solid use of trading collateral, in my opinion.
For sure. It's Uwe's best game. We've talked about him before. What he really needs to do is like go back to Bohnanza and make like granola, Euro, like ultra farming sims, but like add in a Bohnanza like market in the middle of it somehow.
Yeah.
And then he would have the best game of all time. Probably.
I'm for it. Mm-hmm. If it was like Feast for Odin, but instead of the polyominoes, it was the trading, that would be so good. Make it happen, Uwe.
We're waiting eagerly.
You don't even have to pay us for the idea. Like, we'll just gladly accept the game.
That one's free, you know? Yeah.
That one's on us. Bohnanza, 1997.
All right. Kenny, well, what if you planted a bean and it sprouted into a rocket ship and you rode that rocket ship all the way to a planet where they roll dice to determine everything that happens in their economy?
That was a beautiful segue.
then you might have something similar to the game I played recently, which is Space from 2018, which I'm amazed that it's as recent as it is. I thought this was older. It's designed by John D. Clair and is published by the Alderac Entertainment Group, otherwise known as AEG. I do declare that this game is pretty mid, but in a good way. I feel like you call it mid in a bad way, and I'm calling it mid good. Like it's mid plus, and yours, in your analysis, I understand is mid minus.
Yeah. We play this on BGA, and I prefer it on BGA than in person.
Interesting. You know what? That's reasonable because like the fact that the dice just get rolled for you, you like know it's more truly random. And
well, it also tells you right away what you got to pick between.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to do that mental step of math. You know, you don't have to add two numbers together. So it really alleviates the burden for people with high IQs like us to like spend more time thinking about what game decisions we want to make rather than having to do arithmetic, which is beneath us. Sorry, I'm just giving you shit. But the thing about this game is I know I played it once like a long time ago, and then it feels like every time we've gone to like conventions or the game store, someone always has this fucking game on the table. Always. It's just always out somewhere. I don't know what happened recently that made Space Base like blast off recently, but I don't quite see it. But I did enjoy myself playing this most recently. It has a lot of the same mechanical vibes as Machi Koro, but I think it's more combo-y, and I think it's more easy to like feel like you're making smart play decisions, whereas Machi Koro, especially if you don't play with any variants, Machi Koro can feel very almost on rails, and I think it's kind of dull. But Space Base has like enough variety, enough like sort of little mechanics that tweak things here and there that there's more interesting decision points more often.
I prefer this to Machi Koro. I also think that the take that in Machi Koro is not the kind of interaction I'm looking for. If I have the choice between no interaction, which is kind of what Space Base is, or make other people not able to play the game interaction that Machi Koro has, I would much rather pick the Space Base route.
Oh yeah, totally. Like it's cool that something good happens for you on your opponent's turn, so it gives you reasons to like pay attention and care. And it's not just like, I steal your money. Like that's, I'm not saying that there's never a place for that, but I think it's less likely that a game like that is going to be fun if the game is presenting itself as something that rewards probabilistic thinking, as opposed to a game that is just trying to be silly and force your friend group to have a good time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Maybe I gave off too much of a negative vibe with this game. I definitely don't dislike it. It's more of like a water-based game, as we like to say on this cast. Like for me, it's like drinking water. Like I'm not enthused by it, but I'm also not opposed to playing it.
To continue that metaphor, for me, it's like drinking Gatorade. Like it's only a little bit of a step up from water. It's not a Pepsi, but I'll take it. It's a little bit more fun than water. Barely.
Yeah.
Or maybe like a LaCroix. We need to do a tier list. This will be the bonus content. We need a tier list like beverages, like Gatorade to LaCroix to water. It's like, which one do you think is like the slight step increase?
Probably
right?
LaCroix, right? LaCroix is so close.
But it's like, where does carbonated water fit? Because is carbonated water with no flavor a downgrade from water or a mild upgrade?
I think it goes water, carbonated water, LaCroix, Gatorade.
I feel like I'd rather have plain water than plain carbonated water, though, personally.
Maybe this is a good moment to talk about Spindrift. I think Spindrift is a lie.
Spindrift fucking sucks. That's the grossest beverage on the planet.
Spindrift is like somebody accidentally stepped on a bunch of lemons and then they're trying to still recoup some of the costs of doing
the
that.
Lemons that they crushed?
Of having crushed the lemons by accident. Because that shit is worse than drinking water.
It's worse than LaCroix, and the thing is there's like more sugar in it. So like how did you fucking do that?
I can say with confidence that people who drink Spindrifts are being sold a lie, and it's not their fault, but like you need to like wake up. You need to wake up and just realize the shit you're putting in your mouth is not better on any metric. Any of the ones that you're about to say, but you're wrong.
It's not. It's worse. It's just drink something else. Anything else, really.
What were we talking about?
Space Base.
Oh, that's right.
It's the LaCroix of Machi Koro. That's the review.
Space Base is LaCroix, Machikoro's Spindrift.
There you go. We got there.
100 games to play before you die.
All right, Kenny, game number 39 on the list of 100 games that you have to play before you die is Memoir 44 from 2004. My dad is 44. I got 4-door car. I don't remember how that song goes. Memoir 44
that was a
from
good
2004, pull. Designed by Richard Borg, published by Days of
One Door.
Days of One Door. Kenny, besides the meme, why is this game on your list?
This game is our miniature skirmish / war game. Now, before everybody starts rioting and throwing their phones out the windows.
Add like a sound effect of like an angry mob outside your house.
Yeah. We do also have Warhammer coming up later, so calm down. Okay, I realize that there's all kinds of flavors, but I'm talking about this is a gateway into a whole large area of games. It's so much a gateway that a lot of diehards are like, oh, why are you using Memoir 44? It's like, chill, have a seat, think about it. Do you want to bring people into any of the Commands and Colors games or Advanced Squad Leader or like up front even? Like, is that what you want people to have as their first experience with your thing that you're passionate about in your hobby? Or do you want to give them a bunch of toy soldiers with some very streamlined rules and say, one of us is the Germans, one of us is the Americans, let's go pew, 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 pew. One of them is clearly a better approach. And if we're talking about bringing people into all the different aspects of the hobby, I think Memoir 44 is the choice pick.
I feel like I could argue with you about this a little bit, though. Because, like, what if, hear me out, because I'm not someone who's done a lot of wargaming, but I could almost understand the way you're talking about this to a wargamer. It might sound like you're saying, okay, but before you start anyone on Race for the Galaxy, you have to play, what was that other fucking game called that he made? Kindergarten version of Race for the Galaxy?
Oh, Jumpstart?
Jumpstart. This is what you sound like to someone else. So they're like, you have to play Jumpstart in order to get someone to Race for the Galaxy. I could hear that and I'd be like, I see where you're coming from, but if you don't start with Race, you won't understand like what makes the game good at all. Because Jumpstart is so watered down, it's missing the grit.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think of the tax and the grit as part of the experience.
Like it becomes like a textureless game, you know?
Yeah, but I think the difference is that Memoir 44 has teeth. Like, it's a game that people appreciate regardless. Whereas, like, I feel like the people that prefer Jumpstart to Race are few and far between.
True.
To me, Jumpstart feels like a light version of Race, whereas Memoir feels like its own thing. It just happens to be simpler than some of those more complicated games.
I just feel I'm not sure that we're qualified enough to say that Memoir is a superior way to gateway someone into true wargaming.
That's fair. Right? Yeah, maybe I should check myself here.
That said, even if it's not a great gateway into wargaming, I do think it gives you the overall flavor of like what a lot of these hex-based combat games are about.
It's got the die rolls, it's got the formations, it's got the historic aspects to back up a lot of what's happening on the board. And it has a decent amount of kind of like that tactical, how you're going to allocate your resources in terms of actions to the different parts of your board. It doesn't have a lot of like the supply aspects that you see in a lot of these war games. And you're also not going to be as precise with representing things accurately. But again, what you sacrifice in terms of accuracy, you get in terms of like speed and ease of use, I should say. Plus, it's got delightful components, right? You get this added benefit of having these toy soldiers on the board. Because at the end of the day, really, this is like playing with the army, the plastic army figures that you had as a kid, but with a rule set. The game is part of like a very large line of the Commands and Colors series. A lot of people don't know this, but Memoir 44 is part of that series.
Oh, really?
Same thing with Battle Lore. Battle Lore generally published by Fantasy Flight. Even though it's a fantasy theme, it is also part of the Commands and Colors series. The thing they have in common is that you've got tactics cards that allow you to trigger certain regions or certain descriptor types of units on your board. And so you have to be careful about when you're going to deploy or use different aspects of your board, because you're not always going to have all of them available on a turn. It allows things to keep a brisk pace, but also creates enough depth where you're trying to second guess where your opponent is going to go and things like that. It does have dice rolling. It's not dice chucking, right? You're not rolling a bunch. But you do kind of do this thing where you get into a scrum in the middle oftentimes, where you're at the right distance, but your opponent's also at the right distance. You kind of just like get stuck throwing dice at each other until one of you shoots the other down. For some folks, that's like, yes, this is what I've been looking for. And others are going to go, well, actually, I think this game is flawed because it doesn't, well, it's like, it's warfare. I don't know what to tell you, you know. Not a game for everyone, but for the folks that are into it, this could either be the perfect game, or it could be the gateway into a whole series of games that you go deeper and deeper into in terms of this war rabbit hole.
Another thing that I know I like about it overall is that there's kind of like a campaign, almost a legacy style of system built into it, kind of pre-legacy. It's, you know, it's not like a true legacy game, but you can play it effectively like a legacy game.
Yeah, that's a great call out. Both the system and the series Memoir 44 itself have a great deal of modularity and different ways to approach it. There's also like an 8-player overlord mode. There's also just a ton of fan content out there on top of just straight up expansion content. So this is the kind of game that you could just lose yourself in and play a ton of. That was Memoir 44.
All right, well, I think we talked enough about board games. It's time to stop talking about fucking board games. Boring. I don't have a board, Kenny. I don't have a board that I can put on anything anywhere. I don't even have a table. I just sit on my floor. I just go camping, okay? And I have like the ground, all right? And I need something to play. So I really want to know. I tuned in this week to listen to the real meat and potatoes of the podcast this week, because I need to know, what can I do with 52 cards, a deck of 52 polka cards. I got one deck, maybe two decks. I got a couple of jokers. I'm throwing those in the trash.
I know you're just saying poker like you're in like the Roaring 20s, but it did kind of sound like you said polka decks, or like polka cards. Decks. So I got confused for a second.
I don't even know those Pokemons. It's poker, son. I'm talking about polka. What can I do with a deck of cards, Kenny? What's the point of these things?
I wrote down build a tower, and then I ran out of ideas. You got anything?
Magic tricks.
Yeah, magic tricks. How far can we take this bit?
My 9-year-old recently discovered like one of those math-based magic tricks where you like make piles of the cards in a specific way, and then it's like it's supposed to impress people. What's really funny about it is like if you see the trick done, I don't think you have to be like that brilliant to figure it out. The clue is like she hands you the cards, says now cut them anywhere, but don't shuffle them. You know, it's like okay, like they're in a specific order, right? And she did this trick in front of like some friends of my parents who are all like 60s, 70 years old. And like half of them still didn't get it, like even after we explained how it works. And I'm like, well, okay, I guess there's a little bit of magic left in the world after all.
Do you think they didn't get it because they're not with the times, or because like they're like the cognitive abilities are going away? Because that's something I'm kind of like scared of for myself, you know? It's not rocket science, right? Like,
right. Well, I will say it wasn't like every old person in the room didn't get it.
No,
there was
I know.
Just like
I'm
one
just
or two
saying,
who
like,
were just like they were still befuddled. So
this is like a larger conversation, I guess. We're getting away from the topic here, but like I'm worried about like what I'm going to be like when I'm old.
You sound like the lead singer of Car Seat Headrest.
Okay, moving on. So build a tower, magic tricks.
Yeah.
You can try to memorize the deck. So you can like look at the cards.
You can practice your mind palace, that's for sure.
You do 52 card pickup.
That's a good one.
Okay. Are we done with this bit?
Yeah, Do you think you could skip cards across the water if they were like waterproof at all?
If they were waterproof, probably. Yeah, hell yeah. You could do like, you can get mutant powers, and then you can make the cards explode when you throw them. Have you seen the trick videos where they do card tricks? Yeah.
I thought you were making a reference to the X-Men guy.
Oh, I was.
Oh, okay. What's his name again?
Channing Tatum.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You could play games with them. Cribbage, poker, blackjack. We're going to skip the ones that everybody's familiar with.
Is blackjack even a game?
No. Trick taking. There's a lot of good trick takers that just use a deck of cards. Some even claim to not use a deck of cards, but you can still use a deck of cards to play them.
Such as?
You can definitely play the crew. What are the big trick taking games that you can play? Hearts, spades, euchre, bridge.
Euchre's a good one. There it is, euchre, the best game you can play with a deck of cards. I like that you put poker in here. Have you ever played anything that isn't Texas Hold'em?
I played the one where you just you like discard cards and you get new ones.
Oh, like the one that Bellatra is based on? I don't remember what it's called either.
Yeah, it's like 10 Mile High, Piss Rummy or something. Is this content? We're just listing games? We got to do something better than this.
Big Two. Big Two is a shedding type card game of Cantonese origin. Is that the one you're thinking of?
I don't know.
When you brought up this topic, I was kind of thinking about it. I didn't bring up
this topic. You brought up this topic.
I brought up this topic. I picked this topic off the list that you created.
No.
Who came up with this idea?
No, you said Helena had an idea for a topic.
Oh, shit. This is Helena's fault.
And then you were like, I'm going to do some research. and then where did we go from there, Tom? You tell the audience.
I didn't do the research. So here's the thing. There's 3 types of games that you can play with a deck of cards, as I understand it. There's trick takers, poker, and games that exist that can be recreated with a deck of cards.
I would include a 4th category, which is like games that are one-offs that aren't poker.
One-off games that aren't poker?
Cribbage and gin rummy and like slapjack. Those are also games that use a deck of cards that aren't trick takers. So I think there is a 4th section.
Would you say that there's an additional section, or does this fall into the miscellaneous section, which is like Sid Saxon famously has a book called A Gamut of Games. I've read part of it, and it is what the title says it is, which is that it's a list of a shitload of games that you can play with stuff you probably have in your house, including decks of cards. The games in that book, what would you categorize those as?
I don't know. This probably fits in the miscellaneous as well.
Okay. This was the research I wanted to do that I never did.
Yeah.
But there's a ton in this book that include nothing but a deck of cards. So you could play Mate, although it's not designed by Sid Saxon. It's just in his book. He has a game called LaCroix. Letruc. It's 2 words.
So does the book have all the rules too?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
So LaCroix is a betting, bluffing, trick-taking game for 2 players or teams of players. There's all this stuff out there. It's amazing, I guess, how many games are sort of like underexplored that functionally just use a deck of cards. Have you ever played Regicide?
Yeah, I've played a decent amount. I played with folks at the Wednesday group, and then I also played on Board Game Arena.
So what you should tell me then, because I'd never heard of it until today.
Regicide is great. Regicide is a game that when you're playing it, you're like, why didn't I think of this? Like, this is a game that like a early teen would think of doing when they're bored and have a deck of cards, but wouldn't be able to execute on it because they don't have like the skill set needed. But the designers of Regicide, they hit the nail on the head. Functionally, what you do is you each get a hand of poker cards, and then you have to face off against the royal suit, the Jack, Queen, and King of the 4 suits. And you have to basically take their health down to 0 by playing cards from your hands. But the trick is every time you play a card, your simultaneously removing something that can protect you from taking hits yourself, and also triggering a secondary power based on which suit it is. So I think like the diamonds allow you to reshuffle cards so that you still have more cards coming into your hands in the future. The hearts allow you to like heal yourself, so you get to draw more cards. And then the spades do like double damage. I'm probably getting all of these wrong, but you have these powers associated with each suit. You have to take the enemy down, but you also can't really communicate what cards you have in your hand. So you have to like coordinate somehow by telegraphing things. And it really comes down to the dot. What's most impressive about Regicide is that it works despite having any sort of like extraneous balancing or anything like that. Like it's just using the values of the cards themselves, and somehow it works. It's extremely difficult. Or maybe I'm just dumb. But I feel like the internet agrees.
The beginning of that cognitive decline.
Yeah. I highly recommend it. I think it's more fun with 2 than solo. Really interesting and fascinating game, with just how streamlined it is.
So that's probably like the number one game that you could play if you got lost in the woods with nothing but a deck of cards. And after you accounted for how you're going to survive this situation... When you just got to the point where you're entertaining yourself, then you can just play Regicide so you don't go crazy in the woods.
I mean, the thing is, there are a ton of really good solitaire games. I'm not talking about like solitaire. Like there are variants of solitaire that are really, really good.
Such as?
Okay, if we're talking within the realm of games that are available in like the Microsoft App Store or whatever, I think that Spider Solitaire is way more interesting. Is it fair? No. But is it really interesting to play through? I would absolutely say so.
I don't know if I've ever actually figured out the rules to Spider Solitaire.
It's relatively straightforward. I feel like most versions that folks have out there, including the Microsoft ones, now teach you how to play. So
okay.
There's that to keep in mind. The Iseludo series is really good. It's also 52 cards plus jokers, but there's like a bunch of these like solo games. It's like a free PDF basically that you can get with a bunch of really interesting games.
Iseludo?
Yeah, it's spelled Isaludo. You can just look it up on BGG. But it's like 10 solo games that are playable. Speaking of, one of those games is the Emissary. And the Emissary ended up being so popular and so good that it got turned into For Northwood. So For Northwood, one of the more famous and popular solo games from the last 5 years. For Northwood is actually the Emissary retooled with a few powers and things like that. It's functionally a solo trick-taking game. I'm sure there's listeners who are either familiar with or have played For Northwood. It started as one of the games in Iseludo.
I'm writing this down. I'm like, I got to try these out. Got to try out Regicide. Got to try out For Northwood. What do you get when you buy like the box? Like what does it have over the deck of cards?
So for Regicide, it just has really, really good art. Not only thematic, but also just nice art overall.
Does it have a reminder text of like some of the suit powers or anything?
It doesn't, as far as I can tell. Some of the reminder cards that they include help, but the deck of cards itself just has really nice art. Really, it's a way of thanking the designers for the game, as well as a much more like thematic experience. I will say I much prefer playing Regicide with the Regicide deck of cards versus with a regular deck of cards. For Northwood, the printed edition has powers for each of the rulers that you are either trying to sway over or that are on your side to be used as powers. I think the original Emissary game didn't have those.
This is what I wanted, was to like learn about what games I should be playing that I haven't played very much of. One of these that I have played, though, that I know I like a lot is President. We know it, I think, more commonly as...
Dalmoody?
Yes. The Great Dalmoody, designed by none other than Richard Garfield, famously.
Yeah, who definitely designed the game and didn't just slap his name on it.
Yeah. Well, does Dalmoody even like... There's more cards of a certain number than you get in a regular deck of cards,
I think
right?
the unique thing about Dalmoody is that the deck composition is different than a regular deck of cards. But this game has been around in different versions all over the Eastern continents. Like Daihan Min is like the Chinese version, and then Daifugo is a Japanese one. People have been playing this game with a deck of 52 cards for a long time.
Yeah, it's funny because there was some manga I was actually reading where they referenced this game, and the English translation called it President. And I was like, I know what that is.
President is a shedding game. And the fun thing about President is if you go out, you become the next president. And you kind of role play where that person really takes on both mechanically and kind of like via just playing into it, this aspect of being in control and just having way more of an advantage on the table. And similarly, the person who's in last place just gets absolutely wrecked. And you think that wasn't fun, but because the rounds are so quick and because that changes and you can kind of crawl your way up, it actually becomes kind of an interesting challenge. Personally, I like to be at the bottom. There's less pressure.
God. Now we're going back to Kenny's fetishes.
But yeah, I really like Dalmoody. I'm not huge on all the made up rules that we add when we play Daifugo. And I'm not convinced that those are at every table. So like, depending on who you play this with in the variants of it, like they're going to be like, oh, when you play a 7, it reverses the turn order. And when you play an 8, it stops the round. And it's like, this game didn't need these. Like, it doesn't need Uno on top of everything else. But I might just be a purist. I digress. I don't know.
Well, it's funny. There's a Switch game that I've only ever seen Northern Lion playing. I haven't played it myself, but it I forget what it's called. It's called like Club Sports or something like that, or Club Games Collection, something like this.
Yeah, it's like 169 Club Games Collection or something.
Yes, and this is one of them. And I was watching them play it at one point, and there were some of those special rules that I had never seen before. I'm curious. I wonder if that is like some sort of de facto standard like rule set for Daifugo. I don't know the details.
No, I mean, I've seen it in a lot of Daifugo versions, so it's probably more common than it is less. I just feel like it doesn't add anything and just makes it more chaotic.
Where it like locks out play if you play an 8 or something like that, or right?
Yeah, exactly.
I find it interesting.
Real quick, 52 decks have become popular in the print and play realm. I mean, for good reason, right? Because most people have that around at their house. So one thing we've seen recently is them going hand in hand with like roll-in rights. Fliptown is a good example. Fliptown came with like a really nice production and things, but you can also just print a sheet and use a deck of playing cards, and you can play this Western roll-in right. There's also 52 Realms Adventures that I think did pretty popular. Was like pretty popular last year. New game alert, but yeah, it's an adventuring dungeon crawl using a deck of 52 cards.
What about Doomtown?
I don't know that counts because you build a poker deck, but it sure as hell doesn't have the 52 cards that you normally have in a deck of cards. You're going to have like 16 aces and, 32 clubs. It's closer to Balatro than it is to...
I was just going to say, do you think Doomtown would actually do a lot better now because of the success of Balatro? That there would be a similarity... For those who don't know, I guess Doomtown, if I remember correctly, was a living card game, kind of like Netrunner, but there was this angle to it where the deck you built like had all these characters and player powers and stuff, as far as I understand, but they also had suits and ranks, so you needed to be able to hold good poker hands because there would be shootouts between yourself and the other player, and the better poker hand would win. So you had to balance both aspects, which I found interesting, but I've never actually played it.
Fans have kind of continued it, kind of like Netrunner. They like brought it out from the dead again.
It's back.
Here's my problem with Doomtown. I really tried to like Doomtown, and I think there's a lot of really good ideas in there, including how the cards are both the things that you're playing out and how you're forming your poker hands. The problem with Doomtown is that it's too clever for its own good. You've had this whole concept of area control and having certain influence on the board that works itself into like a tracking how much influence you have versus control. And if one of them exceeds the other, but the other person's one doesn't exceed yours, then you win the game. It's very, very hard to internalize. And ultimately, even when you get to a point where both players understand things, it doesn't feel rewarding. At least that was my feeling with it. And I really, really tried with Doomtown. I probably played too many games of it and gave it too many shots.
Interesting.
It's not the only Western game to do this kind of poker theme. Like Western Legends does this too, where they have like poker suits on the cards. I haven't played Western Legends.
Do you feel like that concept could be applied to other games where it's like...
For sure.
Like imagine almost like a sports game, like soccer, baseball, or something like that. And it's like the players you're playing are one aspect already. And maybe the moves you're making. But then when you go to score a goal, it's like your hand has to outrank in poker the opponent's hand, like the goalie's hand, right?
I generally like that concept, yeah. Or even if it's like a set collection
this could
thing
be
or something.
more employed, like in across more things.
I just think games are interesting when you introduce multi-use for cards in general.
Yeah.
It can't be overwhelming, but it's like a nice way to add a little bit of spice.
I'm taking notes. I'm going to have to add this to my brass deal somehow.
Just gets more and more convoluted. Shall we talk about games you can play that weren't necessarily made for a deck of cards?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about next. So how can I steal games from the internet?
Let's not say
wouldn't
steal.
download a board game.
Let's say try out, and then if you like them, buy. Gang Gang? You want to talk about Gang Gang because you talk about it every episode?
Okay, the funniest thing about the gang, which, yes, new game alert. We're sorry. I'm sorry. I will atone somehow by playing brass 90 times. The gang is a game that is based on a set of poker cards, but then there's technically all this like miscellaneous stuff that comes in the box that you don't have to add to the game unless you are starting to find it too easy.
Well, kind of like the crew.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not using the special power cards and special requirements, you can just play it with a deck of cards and chips.
However, you do, I think, start to feel like you're missing something if you don't have those, like the special powers after a certain point. Like once your play group has figured it out, then there's not much left to do unless you have those.
I mean, that's generally
cards.
The best place for games to be, especially like lighter fare. I like it when you can sample the game, but you feel like there's something missing, so you go out and buy the whole game. And I would really like to see us move towards more of a model like that. I mean, I'm not going to reopen this. I feel like we've talked about it quite a bit recently. So, well,
here's the worst thing about the gang, though, as it comes in the box. The deck of cards is kind of shit.
Yeah. The art is good, but the deck, it's like it's finish or whatever. It's like one of those ones you get in a magic set. Learn how to do magic tricks. Like it's the cheapest ass deck you could ever put in a box.
I'm not even sure if it's necessarily true that like the deck, that the card quality is cheap, but it's there's something different about it compared to any like casino deck of cards or like bicycle cards or whatever that. Like for me, at least, my copy is just becoming like warped really rapidly. And all I'm doing is like riffle shuffling. And if I had like a standard deck of cards, I feel like it would not
all I'm doing is like folding it in two. So
I'm just saying like a standard deck of, I think if I were to play with a bicycle card deck to the same amount that I've played the gang with the deck that came with the gang, it would not be as worn out as these cards are already.
Right.
Like I've been playing it a lot, but like it should stand up to more wear than this. It's kind of wild that it hasn't. But that leads me to a great personal tangent, which is that I recently went to the Goodwill. Actually, it was Savers. And I found a deck of cards that claims to be certified gold plated, like not plated, but like gold leaf or gold coated, like they just spritzed on gold and they look shiny, but they shuffle so nice. And the best part is that the backs of the deck are $100 bills. So it actually like fits the theme of the gang because you're stealing from a vault or whatever.
Yeah, that's
as
cool.
A group.
I like that. We briefly talked about rat screw. I mean, spoons or Egyptian rat screw, right? These are really good alternatives if you don't have a butt plug for jungle speed, or if you don't have a copy of Anomio. Similar idea, right? You're going to get equivalent levels of fun.
Egyptian rat screw is way less interesting to me than Jungle Speed, honestly.
I do think the toy factor
If someone was
plays
like,
a part.
let's just play Slapjack, I'd be like, I'll sit out. Someone's like, let's play Jungle Speed, I'm like, I'm in.
It's true. Yeah, the cards really do enhance things in Jungle Speed. Skull
is a funny one.
Skull is a classic. It's fun to test out with cards, but you probably should get a copy because it's just so much nicer.
Yeah, it's one of those where like it's not that expensive a game in the first place, but like you can recreate Skull with like almost anything as long as like the 4 things that you hold have like a reverse side and they aren't marked on the other side. You know what I mean? Like you don't even need poker cards. You can play this with Magic cards. You can play this with Netrunner cards. Like,
yeah, you just need 3 cards that are safe and 1 card that's dangerous. Love Letter is one that when I was a poor college student, we actually had a whole year where we had just our reference sheet for Love Letter and then used a deck of cards to play, and we played a ton of it. And eventually we did get a copy when we were able to starve ourselves long enough to afford a copy of Love Letter.
Life was so hard back then.
And then a bit of an off-kilter one, but Pray Another Day I find plays really well with cards. This is kind of a Death Note moment game where you got 5 types of animals and one eats the other, and you got to think about whether or not you want to play the little animal, hoping that nobody eats you so that you get the most points, or you play the safe animal that eats everybody else but doesn't get a lot of points. It's pretty fun, and it's cool how it develops its own meta. Another one you can play with a deck of cards.
Those are all the ideas that I think we have for ways you can, not steal, but conceptually borrow games with existing IP with a deck of cards.
I mean, now you're rolling back?
Yeah, this last thing I want to talk about is a game that has yet to come out.
There's a new game alert.
My 4-year-old created a game the other day where the whole game was, I think you like these things this much. And you would put a poker card out on the table. And then basically the other person had to say, yes, you got it right, or no, you got it wrong. So I came up with another idea to add to this that she didn't like. So this is not technically a Francis approved variant of this game that she invented, which I don't remember what she even called it. But I stole her idea and I came up with this game. And you can do this with a deck of cards. And it has yet to come out. If someone steals the idea for this off the podcast, power to you. But here's the idea, right? So I'm calling it on a scale of 1 to 10. You just get rid of the face cards. You deal 3 to each player, maybe 5. I've yet to kind of test this out. And then it's a social game, kind of something between Wavelength and something between...
Oh, really?
That Oh, really game. Yeah. So you'll put one of the cards in your hand face down as your selection. You'll pick a target. So in a 2-player game, this really makes sense. And then you'll say, Kenny, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think of Bill Clinton? Right? So go ahead and answer.
I don't know. 4?
There you go. Right. And then it's like, bam, if I flip over the fact that I put down the 4 and I correctly guessed, what you were going to say, then I get that card out of my hand. And then otherwise it's just a hand shedding game. And if everyone loses their last card in the same round, then you draw another card and you have to keep going until someone escapes first. Right, and no one else tied with you.
I'm sorry to do this on live television or whatever.
No, this already exists.
Are you familiar with My Favorite Things?
No, I thought I invented something.
It's that, but they took it an extra level. The card has a number, and then you cover the number with a word that you write down, and then you play a sort of trick-taking game. And so people don't know the strength of the thing, but if they know the person well enough, they would be able to know what the number was underneath the card.
I saw people playing this. I've not played it myself.
Yeah, it has similar vibes, but I think it takes it an extra step, which is that there's a game on top of just guessing.
Interesting. I'll have to play that one. I mean, the game I just described, it is simple enough that, again, the fact that you could play it with just a simple deck of cards, I'm not saying it's going to blow your cock off, but it's a decent amount of fun, especially if you're trying to get to know other people.
Yeah, it'd be a good start of the evening kind of game.
Thank you so much to everyone for listening. I mean, I know it's really tough to have to do this every week, but you make it worth it. Thank you especially to Michael, Tyler, Devon, and Josh, the Boise RainBeaus. And thank you especially to Bonehouse for letting us use our song Rot as our opening theme.
If you're loving the cast, share with a friend or on Reddit or on BGG. You can also reach out to us directly at shelfstablecast@gmail.com. If you like what we're doing and you want to make more of it happen, consider subscribing to us on Patreon. You'll get access to bonus content like our Discord and our OnlyFans, and you can get our games. Tom, we have to figure that out soon.
Oh, sure.
We got a topic for next week.
All right, Kenny. Next week, I think we're going to talk about burnout. What should you do when you're tired of playing your favorite game, like Brass? You played it 50 times.
Can't wait to hear what your thoughts are on this one, Tom.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.